welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about neutrals and indie brands. If you want to see that, then just keep on watching. This video will be having at least 2 disclaimers. I am so happy though that I can film this. And the first disclaimer is I did not, and I will accelerate it, did not try all of these brands in this video, but I feel like it is something that sometimes, I love a formula you hate, and sometimes you hate formula I love. So it's like, it's a guideline, if you will. And the second disclaimer is neutrals is like a fly word. It can mean sometimes it means neutrals, and sometimes it means it's scraping on neutrals. I have to say, I feel like I have a different option on neutrals than maybe some other, because I am normally in the not so neutral route. So take it with a grain of salt. If you say, listen, that's too colorful for me, then don't buy it. But if you say, listen, a little bit of color that is just in my route, go for it. Just so you know. Also, I can't scout everything. I have a selection of brands. Maybe if you want to see more, I will do other indie brands as well. I just picked a few. So yeah, let's hop right in. Let me start with Glaminatrix. I tried one product by Glaminatrix, and that is indeed a neutral palette, and this is the Sugar in Space palette. This is the one palette I bought, and I have to say it's a beautiful palette. We do have a row of matte shades here. All of them are brown tones. We do have a black, then a cool toned deep brown, a grayish brown, and then 2 light shades. One is more of a yellowy light, and then maybe if I hold it like this, it's more of a yellowy light shade, and then we do have a skin tone light, at least for me. So, and then we do have also 3 matte pastel shades, a yellow, a purple, as well as green, and then we do have a variety on shimmers, duochromes, multichromes, a really pretty palette itself. This is not an all matte, this is not an all neutral palette, but I feel like, especially because we do have a bunch of neutrally browns as a base, you can switch it up a little bit with the more pastel shades, as well as a lot of beautiful shimmers. We do have this one is a greeny neutral shimmer. This one is gorgeous. Look at this. It is stunning. That is one of the most prettiest brownie shimmer shades. I absolutely love this. This one is also so damn cute. Look at this. You can see the quality of these is amazing. I highly recommend again this palette if you're listen, that's not quite my thing. Again, quality wise, I highly recommend them, but I've also picked out some. Let me scooch a little bit here. I picked also out the Rich Romantic palette. Listen, if you are into pinks and maybe you also have a more cool tone undertone, I feel especially the Rich Romantic palette could be for you. Again, for me, this would be more of a neutral palette. If you're listen girl, that's not a neutral palette, go with it. It has more warmth, it has some purples, which again, purples can be neutrals, but it also has some shades pinky tones, mauvey tones that you could use as a neutral palette as well. I also would maybe recommend, if you're listen, I do have neutral matte shades, I want to have something more neutral shimmer, I would recommend the Fairy Lights palettes. This one seemed to be an all palette. Again, I don't have it at the moment, just having this one, but quality wise, I do recommend Glaminatrix. Really pretty. These ones are 6 shimmering shades. I think it's still available. If it's not, skip on that. It is really pretty though. If you're listen, I have neutrals, I just want to have a little bit of a pop of neutral indie, this could be for you. And then we also could have done the nearly neutral palettes. This one I feel is a really pretty neutral brownish palette with greens. I think greens are totally wearable and neutral. If you don't think so, then skip that. But I feel this is a beautiful neutral palette with some skipping of greens, not really like a ton though. So if you love that, I mean, that's kind of cute and pretty, so go for that. The next brand I would recommend, or palette I would recommend, is Klarity Cosmetics, and I did try Klarity Cosmetics twice. None of these are really like neutrals, so have that in mind. This formula by like the Cobra palette, I just did not enjoy, to be honest. Like, this is the palette itself, again, not neutrals. I did enjoy though the Lost at Sea palette, which was a quite recent release, I would say. This could be neutral if you're like creative about it, like with the orangey, the shade, this one, we do have light, this shimmer, beautiful. Like, it's, the quality is there at some point. At the moment though, I have to say, I'm not sure what they do at the moment with the palette or with their like side. It just shows a few palettes, so I would go with some palettes I saw already on like previous posts by Klarity Cosmetics. So if you know what's wrong with that, just having that, just have that in mind. Maybe also if you don't find it on the side of the official side, maybe also on Poshmark or something like this. I feel like the Melanin Chronicles is one of those palettes where I'm like, listen, this could be neutral. We have a brown, we have like a reddish shade and like orangey gingerbread shade, which could be totally neutral. Again, a little bit of a pop of blue and red, which you can tone down, listen. And then we also have beautiful like shimmer shades. We do have, which I, listen, the Python palette, I absolutely love. This is yellow. This is a palette I would totally buy, because I feel like it's neutral but not neutral. You know what I mean? It has a little bit of color, but it's not too much. You can still wear that and would be totally fine. There is again a yellow. There is also some browns, grayish tones. Beautiful. If you find a Python palette, beautiful. And again, a neutral palette I would love as well. We do have the Croc palette, which again, green tones. I love green tones. If you do, maybe that could be a palette. Also, there is like regular browns as well. I define neutrals with brownie shades, but there are some like a little bit more into the color. It's still there. And then we do have one that is also quite recent. It's the Bridal Party palette. The Bridal Party palette looks like it's a neutral palette. Like, listen, we do have the neutral browns, we do have some color with some greens or like a purpley shade, but it's a shimmer, you know what I mean? So that could be also like a really pretty like neutral palette as well. I feel like that could be really nice. So again, if you love it, I enjoy the recent formula by Klarity Cosmetics, so I definitely would say try it. If you love it, great. If you did not love it or any of the palettes I mentioned, please leave it down in the comments so everybody knows. Let's talk Adept Cosmetics. I don't own any palette by Adept Cosmetics. I heard great things about Adept Cosmetics, so that could be something. The most recent release is the Flying Fiddles palette, and listen, that is a neutral palette, 100%. Like, it's more neutral. It has like a deep blue. That's the only thing I would go with, like, listen, but it's like a really pretty neutral palette. We do have 4 mattes and then the rest all shimmers, which all of them are neutral shimmers. Like, not even the one that has a little bit of blue specks in it could be like super damn, you know what I mean? So this is like a palette I would maybe go for if I'm like, listen. This one also, Adept Cosmetics, is a little bit more expensive because these shimmers are not like just regular shimmers, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you want to invest in something, this could be, and you're like, listen, I love shimmers, I'm just not into the mattes, this could be for you. Again, super damn cute. I think that is amazing. If you're a little bit like more experimental with eyeshadow palettes and you're like, listen, a little bit of color, not too much, maybe go with the Sumerian Sunset. This is a Star Trek palette, but I mean, listen, there are 5 matte shades. They could be neutral if you want to, you know, I feel like they are basically neutrals, just a little tinge of color. And then we do have 10 shades that are neutral as well as a little bit different, if you will. Could be beautiful as a neutral palette if you want to try. If you want to see a video how I would like do a neutral look with color, write it down in the comments. Also, if you're like, listen, I'm a lover of like purpley shades, the Minka palette by Adept Cosmetics. 2 mattes, rest are shimmers, but both of them are purples, and then you have like a bunch of neutral shimmers. Stunning, stunning. If you love that and you're like, okay, I'm fine with purples, I feel like purples, especially if you have like blue eyes or green eyes, especially green eyes, I feel like purples can like bring that out. And then again, one of those shimmers would be totally fine for me. I feel like for Blendbunny Cosmetics, I do own Blendbunny Cosmetics palettes, which I'm not, that there is somewhere there. They are not neutral at all. But if you want to have like a indie brand neutral palette, go with Blendbunnies. I feel like the quality is amazing, and the one that is like the most neutral, I think, of them all is of course Got Me Knocked palette. This is indeed like a face and eye palette. We do have like bronzers as well as shimmer or highlighters, if you will, but you can of course use them on the eyes. This is a, I would say, true neutral palette. If you're like, listen, I want to have like a regular brown palette with like shimmers as well, I don't want to have like to think about it, light shades, deep shades, this is the palette for you. It has like 4 shimmer palettes, all neutral, and then we do have again like from white to black brown palette like shades in every shape, way or form. If you want to have that, I feel like go with Blendbunnies. I do enjoy Blendbunny Cosmetics quality. I do have 2 palettes by them, if I'm not mistaken. Love them both. Really great quality. I feel like, yeah, if you love that, go with that. They also have 2 more colorful neutral palettes, which is the Dollhouse palette. This one is neutral with a smidge of color, if you will. There's a green, there's a purple, there's more mauvey color. I feel like that is like some of that where you're like, listen, this is quite neutral. I do enjoy that she is doing like, again, the pastel, medium shades, deep shades, and then maybe also like shimmers. This is some kind of that. You can go by column and you will be fine. You have a look that works well. And the second one, I feel like is also more neutral than colorful, if you will, is the Sugar and Grunge palette. Again, same concept for the shades. Again, we do have a little bit of a mauvey pinky tone. I feel like these ones are quite muted. You can go with these and you won't have a problem at all. There's green, purple, a little bit of teal. But again, if you pair the teal with a brown, or the brown that is in the palette, by the way, I don't think you will go wrong with that. And then we do have shimmers as well, also neutral as well as colorful. Both of these palettes I would categorize as more neutral than colorful. So I feel like if you want to have a little bit of color, go with these. Again, quality wise, I do enjoy Blendbunny. If you're like, listen, I need an indie brand that has like neutrals, I would stay with Sydney Grace. Sydney Grace has tons of neutral palettes. More recently, the one with Kendra Matters, where this is a bridal palette. It's the Unveil palette, where you have like 2 different color stories with lighter and deeper skin tones, and then you do have like a beautiful neutral palette. I would also go with the Blessed palette as well. That is also quite neutral with a little bit of a green or blue purple, but like, listen, there are 2 colors in there and the rest is neutral. We do have the Heaven on Earth palette, again a more neutral leaning green and blue palette. I did not try, by the way, Sydney Grace eyeshadows, so I'm not sure about the quality. I heard great things about them, so take that with a grain of salt. Love's Journal is also like a regular brownish palette, if you like that. So I feel like if you're like, listen, I can't decide between the brands, maybe Sydney Grace is for you. Let's go with Glamlite, shall we? Glamlite has, I feel like, specks of neutrals in their collections. They are indeed more colorful in there. I do have the Glamlite and Barbie collab. I do have Glamlite and Michaela Firstborn. I like their quality and really nice. I feel like if you are on the hunt for a neutral palette though, I would go with the Hershey's releases. Both, by the way. We do have the most recent one, which is the Hershey's and Glamlite. There is the Cookies and Cream and Milk Chocolate palette. I feel like both of these are quite neutral leaning with little pops if you will. Of color, like the Milk Chocolate is more brown, reddish brown palette, warm brown. And then we do have the Cookies and Cream one, which has some blues in here. It's more of a cool tone palette, but in general, like, listen, you would not miss any of that color. And then the first round of Hershey's releases with Glamlite, there were two palettes, like I can't see the name if I'm not mistaken. Oh, here it is. I'm not sure which one is which though. I think Milk Chocolate was, yeah, Milk Chocolate was with some yellow, which I mean, that's kind of cute. And then we have, is it also Cookies and Cream? I'm not, or with almonds, I'm not sure. There's also a brown palette as well. So if you're like, listen, that could be something, you know, Hershey's and, because, yeah, I mean, Hershey's is like a chocolate brand. It's browns, you know what I mean? So that could be something. If you're like, listen, a little bit of color could be fine. They also released the like Martini series, or like the alcoholism series with Glamlite, where you do have several palettes that are, I would say, more neutral. There is the, I think, was it the green martini palette? I'm not sure about that, but listen, there were a green palette, really, really cute. If you're like, listen, that's a little bit too much green, go with this one. This is the chocolate martini palette. This one is a brown palette with some pops of color into like purple, but also like pinks and mauves. I don't think like you will get like this kind of a look from the palette. You know what I mean? But I feel like in general, it is a cute palette if you want to dip your toes into color. And the last brand I want to talk about is indeed Odenseye. Odenseye is a Swedish brand. I absolutely love Odenseye. I have like 10 palettes by them. I have several ones, quite recent, to be honest. There are the legendary Diversa palettes with some content creators. I feel like these ones, this round is a little bit more neutral leaning than the last ones, even though they were also quite neutral leaning. They're not available anymore though, that's the problem. And then still available are the Christmas palettes by Odenseye, and both of the newest Christmas palettes are more neutral leaning, lighter color schemes. If you are like, listen, that's cute with some pastels in there, that could be for you. Also, the Norns palette is, at least in my eyes, a more neutral leaning palette. Yes, there are some shimmers, and yes, there are some like more colorful shades, if you will, but it's not like extreme, if you know what I mean. And then I have two palettes I do own, by the way. I love the quality of Odenseye, so I absolutely love both of these palettes. I feel like these are more neutral leaning, and I feel like if you love greens, I think the Stone and Rock or Rock and Stone palette could be like a beautiful neutral palette. We do have one multi-chrome, which is this one, by the way, this green. Not sure if you can like see in the, here, can you see in the mirror that this is like a teal color, but here it's like a extreme light green. That is a multi-chrome. I feel like with this palette you do have like this yellowy brown, which could like tone down every single look. We do have black as well as white, which again, perfect for neutral eye. Again, we have some greens that are not like spring greens, not into your face greens, you know what I mean, like this dark green, this one. I love these kinds of green in the crease or in the outer corner. Like this is so muted, if you will. I love that. And then we do have a bunch of also neutral shades. This one is gorgeous as well. This one's so pretty and stunning. This one is a little bit of a blue as well, which again, I feel like this one is a great neutral palette if you love greens. If you don't, maybe skip this one. But if you're like, listen, I want to be a little bit more experimental, go with the Jewels and Gem palette. Again, for me, this is a neutral palette, but I absolutely love it. It has some mauvey colors. It has this one, which is a purple. I love purple because it's a little bit of color, but not too much. It's not too little. So we do also have this beautiful warm tone brown. I absolutely love this. We have some like also like a green, a bluish shade, tons of neutrals. This one, oh, this is like such is like, look at this. Isn't that stunning? This one, let me also swatch maybe this one. Also one multi-chrome in here. Like, look at these. These are neutral, wouldn't you say? I would say that, oh, these are neutral. Like, again, I feel like this is a more mauvey neutral. if you will. But again, like Odenseye definitely has some neutral shades as well. If you want to have like a more neutral leaning palette, I would go with this one. This is colorful neutral. You know what I mean? I would say colorful nude, but it's stunning. And you can definitely, with this brown and maybe like this shade, maybe also this one, you can do a neutral look without any problems. Again, we do have like this goldy shade, goldy green, which beautiful all over the lid. Again, neutral, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's an interpretation of neutral with these two, but I feel like you can go the neutral route. I did that with both of them for work, and I feel like both of them will work phenomenal as neutral palettes. This was a little bit of an excursus to some neutral indie brands or neutral palettes from indie brands. If you want to see more of that, or maybe you have like a preferred indie brand you want to see, and if they have neutral palettes or not, leave it down in the comments. I would really appreciate it if you do so. If you want to and want to see more videos of that kind, leave it down in the comments. Also subscribe to this channel. It's absolutely free. I would love to have you in my small little YouTube family. And without further ado, I wish you a beautiful week, and we see us in my next videos. So bye guys.